Hey guys, this is your Editor-in-Chief Aaron, and I am here on Free Comic Book Day, first weekend of May 2015. And behind me is my local comic book shop, Cavalier Comics. I've been going here since I was in middle school, so we'll check it out and see what's going on the inside. Free Comic Book Day here at Cavalier Comics in Wise, Virginia, 2015. This is my comic shop owner from since I was in middle school. It's his birthday today too.
Don't tell anyone.
He's getting up there. He's getting up there. Mr. Brian Marcus. Brian, how's Comic Book Day, Free Comic Book Day?
Oh, it's been extremely busy this year. Of course, you've been here for a good part of it, seen how many people has been in. I'd say as of right now, we've had probably about 250 people through the doors.
Nice, nice.
So, really good numbers.
Yeah. Talk about it a little bit. You've been here for 22 years. This is your 22nd anniversary today. Talk about Free Comic Book Day as a whole. Now, this hadn't happened for how old is this now? I mean, it's not.
This is its 13th year.
13th year. So, talk about Free Comic Book Day and how you implement it here. I mean, you do a great job. We got some interviews with some great artists back there. Talk about how when this day comes, what goes into the planning? Like, how do you want to make this special every Free Comic Book Day?
Of course, you start ordering the free comic books back in actually January. We send out a list of what's going to be coming out for each publisher, and so you go ahead and adjust your numbers. Well, I need X amount or whatever. Then, of course, I've got like 4 guests today, and the local guys too. That's who I want to do. I want to highlight the local artists and writers, and I usually try to plan about 3 months in advance. And of course, we're doing lots of TV ads for the anniversary and Free Comic Book Day. Of course, Facebook, social media has been huge for it. And of course, word of mouth. And plus having the anniversary sale in conjunction with Free Comic Book Day, it just pulls even more people in.
Right. Yes. I know. I guess Spider-Man, the first Spider-Man movie was when they did. Am I wrong?
I think so.
Somewhere around that nature.
Right.
They coincided with that weekend.
Exactly.
From there on, it's been that way.
Yeah, because Marvel has always had that first weekend in May as like the big movie events. You got Free Comic Book Day, the big Marvel movie, and for me personally, the anniversary of the store. Right. It's just like you just get so many people in.
Right.
Yeah.
So Brian, we talk about comic shops, and they have a stigma sometimes against them. But this shop has always been extremely kind to customers, very welcoming to customers. Talk about that as a philosophy for you, because I think it's very different than what comic shops used to be.
Right. Yeah. Of course, back in the day, you go into a comic shop, they're usually dirty, dark, and sometimes the right crowds are not hanging. Well, bad crowds are hanging out and stuff like that. But in order to make it a successful business, you have got to clean it up, good lighting, clean it, promote. Well, get out in the community and just try to get people to say, hey, this is a cool hobby, reading, because nowadays many kids don't read anymore. Of course, back when we grew up, we was always reading novels, comics, or whatever, and just to give people a place to go, to hang out, to play the games, just to talk to other people about mutual interest, comics. Not just about comics, just about people here talk about comics, movies, sports, just everyday life. Yeah. It's kind of like consider it like a bar, right? and I've always considered myself like the bartender of the comic book nerds. Because I've gotten to know like you, of course Todd and the guys in the back, over 20 plus years, and you develop relationships with them, and you see them and says, hey, how's your kids doing? How's school going? And I think by just doing that over the past 20 years, getting to know each person that way means a lot.
Right. We talked about the movies, obviously. We talked about the boom of the 90s. Everything kind of hopefully never bottoms out here, but are you kind of scared with all the movie stuff once that kind of goes away, or maybe it doesn't become as popular? Right. Are you always scared of something, especially living through the 90s that went way up here, millions and millions of copies sold?
Sooner or later, people will get tired of superhero movies, and there'll be some other new genre that comes up which takes over. When is that going to happen? I can't tell you. I think it's going to be probably sooner rather than later, though. Because, the comic movies have been gosh, 15 years now.
Yeah,
And it's still going hot and heavy right now, but sooner or later it's going to cool off. So I think it's up to each individual store owner to realize that that's going to come, so you start having to adjusting what you're doing in your store.
Right.
Yeah. And so I'm constantly trying to do that right now.
Now you sell everything. You got magic cards here. You got vintage toys, which is one of my passions as well. Talk about that. When did you start to decide to kind of carry everything? You've got awesome sci-fi and fantasy novels,
Right.
old ones, new ones.
Yeah.
Talk about when it comes time to make that decision. Hey, let's start doing Pokemon cards or Magic
Right,
cards or
yeah.
something like that. Talk about kind of expanding and not being afraid to do that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's all about taking chances in this type of industry. You just got to have a good mind. You got to pay attention as to what is going on, and listen to your customer base too. That's the main thing. And I mean, starting to carry like the sci-fi novels and books like that, because we don't have a bookstore within almost an hour's drive.
Right.
Of course, I carry a small selection, and I do special orders all the time, and it's done quite well for me. And of course, the card games, Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, of course, Magic the Gathering. Those are staples of the industry, especially Magic the Gathering, and that's one of those games. It's here to stay for a long time.
Right.
But that's however, like collectibles, statues, busts, toys. You just have to keep up to date as to what's coming out, movie or TV related, and try to get in on those properties as they get hot.
Right.
Yeah.
Talk about the type of customers that you have seen kind of evolve. I mean, obviously, we talked about comic book shops having a little bit like a stigma and whatnot, but you see all walks of life now walking into a comic book shop. Talk about, is it amazing to you that just to kind of progress for that? I mean, everybody loves comics, but not everybody wanted to go to a comic book store,
exactly.
but now it's okay.
Like 20 years ago, it's usually stereotypical, 16 to 18-year-olds, some
guys with beards and glasses.
Yeah, exactly. Holy shirts and pants, kind of unkept, but then eventually it became like generally accepted that, hey, this is cool stuff. We grew up with it. Of course, I'm telling my age, 44. Of course, I grew up in the 70s and 80s, and of course, that crowd right now is coming in with very young kids and introducing them to the comics and games and whatever right now. So you keep, passing it on to each generation.
How cool is that to see? Because there was a time there where this is an older hobby, and we've all kind of acknowledged that. But now, because of the movies and the cartoons, and Disney buying Marvel and DC doing more stuff on WB and whatnot, kids are starting to get a little more saturated with superheroes now.
Right.
Talk about how cool it is to have a kid come in, maybe his first comic, maybe trying to figure out. How cool is that as a shop owner?
Oh, absolutely.
Like, hey, man, you might like this, you might like that.
Gosh, it's happened about 10 or 15 times already in the past few months.
Right.
The father bringing in the kid to buy his first comic book, and of course the father's got a big smile on his face as much as the kid does.
Yeah.
Because he's passing on what he loves.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Brian, man, I appreciate you letting us film today. I love
welcome.
this shop. It's one of the best I've seen. And if you guys are ever in the Wise County area, come to Cavalier Comics. Monsters of Geek approved, definitely. And Brian, I appreciate it, man.
Hey,
Hope
thank
this has
you.
been a success today.
It has been.
Hey guys, this is your Editor-in-Chief Aaron, and I'm sitting with
Todd Goodman of Old World Comics.
Todd. How's been Free Comic Book Day for you so far?
Free Comic Book Day is always awesome, especially here at Cavalier Comics. I've been doing this 4 or 5 years now, and it's the best, the most exciting time, really, even over cons sometimes. Because there's everyone's coming in. There's always free stuff, and it's a chance to meet other people like that. Everyone comes by your table at Free Comic Day. So yeah, it's exciting.
Tell us how you got into doing some comic stuff, man.
Well, I'm a writer, so I self-publish myself. I've always loved comics, wanted to do comics, but can't draw. So when self-publishing or print on demand came, that kind of changed everything. People could do anyone could really make a comic they wanted to. So that's kind of how I got started. I had other friends who were doing it, and I thought, man, I just got to do this. So I started out not knowing nothing about, well, how do I do this? Where do I go get it printed? Where do I find artists? What do I pay artists? What kind of deals can you do, and everything. So all of that's been an incredible ride. There's a lot of creativity just in the process of doing the book, let alone having it actually, then it's printed, there it is, and it's done. There's more excitement in the whole process. And actually, when it's done, it's kind of like, well, what's the next thing I can do? Because now that's finished.
Right.
So, yeah, it's just a lot of getting on the internet, trying to find artists. I have artists from all over the world who do different types of, I got different genres. So, yeah, it's just been learning from day one.
What's it feel like you put all this work into this, you get the artwork, you find somebody to hire to do the story you want to see on the page. What's it feel like to finally have that printed in your hand and look at it and be like, man, this is the labor of love right here?
Yeah, a good friend of mine, Daniel Frazier, who does The Adventures of Nightclaw and Prowler. It's on self-published book.
He started at the left.
And he had like maybe 3 issues. And he actually, when I started doing this, he liked the overall comic name so well. And he said, "Can I bring my book? I'll retain the rights. You can bring my book under your title, under your flagship, like a family." I said, "Yeah, that's great." And I remember him telling me, he said, "There is nothing like going out and getting this box that comes in the mail or whatever, or UPS brings or whatever, and you open it up and it's your book inside." And that just that stuck with me. And that was really kind of the nail in the coffin. Like, I don't know how I'm going to do this, but I'm going to get it done now. And so, I mean, I literally just like tried to create, well, what would I do? Well, I don't even have a comic book story idea. So I had a lot of like novel ideas that would try to write novels, and I was never very good at actually getting that project done. So that, when he said that, that was the thing that motivated me, I think, kind of most. Like, you're doing it, I had another friend who was doing it, and yeah, that would be awesome. That, you know, and your name's on the book. As writer or artist, whatever, and that's kind of neat.
All right, let's talk about your books a little bit. Talk about some of your favorite ones you've written and some of the stuff in under your umbrella here.
My favorites, that kind of, you know, that kind of like your children, like they say.
Right.
Whatever I'm working on at the moment is my favorite, and if it's not, it's really difficult to do. And that's never happened really, actually. So I'm kind of fortunate on that. And that's why I like doing different things, so I can jump around. But I do comedy, I do horror, supernatural, slice of life. I even have a sister title, which is Overall Press, which allows me to do more of the pro-style books that might be illustrated, might not.
Yeah.
So I can, and those sell really well. It really kind of shocked me that they sell really well. So I thought, well, people won't be interested in that because it's not a comic. But they do, they pick it up. So I think really, to be honest with you, my favorite is what I'm working on at the moment. So all that excitement could be right there.
Right. Now, as far as, since it is Free Comic Book Day, and I'll probably ask all these guys this, what was the comic as you picked up, whether you was a kid, in college, in high school, what was the comic you picked up that was like, this is awesome, I want to read these, and maybe one day I'd like to see what I can do to do this officially?
I actually got into comics kind of late, even though I was reading comics as a kid. You know, and I'm 50. So I was reading comics as a kid, and that was okay, but I can remember picking up, I actually had a job in a grocery store, and the comics would come in on Wednesday, you know, and I would break my neck forward to check those in. And I got Batman and the Outsiders #1. And I also remember Ron #1. And that was kind of cool. I thought, well, worked the first issues, it's Batman, so I just got a jumping on point. And then, you know, from there on, it was,
and then you just do
all over. I owned the shop, the comic shop, and I would take home as much.
Right, as much as you sold, right?
It's just, I'm really bad with drawing.
Well, tell everybody where you can find your work at, and your website and everything else, so our guys can check it out.
That's great. Yeah, just go to overallcomics.com, and you can find all the other links to the other websites that branch off from that as well, because we do a monthly webcomic at Lampoon's. Me, Daniel, as I told you about, and then one of my main artists, Corey Butler, who does The Powers That Be. So it lampoons us being at the office where the fictional people and non-fictional people are real, and they hang around and they do stuff. So.
Very cool. Well, sir, I thank you.
Thank you, man.
Well, check out his stuff.